Thursday, January 23rd. I traded very well this day, but I got unlucky and my wins were too small. Before starting, I decided to give myself $100 of risk instead of my usual 60 to allow for more trades and to feel less pressure by the limit. My first trade here was perfect. Well, almost. I get perfectly ticked out, only for price to then go straight to my 20-point target. You can't see me right now, but I'm raising the hell out of my brow. Next, I decided to try another long, and right after my entry, I realized I jumped the gun a little. Probably a bad entry. I moved the stop down from 10 to 14 points to allow for more room. And yet, I was still stopped out. If it really rallies now, it's truly comical. Yep, your eyes are not deceiving you. I got exactly ticked out twice in a row, only for price to then do what I thought it would. I know I'm recording this, but is somebody else recording me? Like wanting to prank me? What is this? This is diabolical. Thankfully, I kept calm and unemotional, so the rest of my trading day was pretty good. Have you ever wanted a new renewable energy source? Well, I have just the solution for you. Teach a million people trading, then constantly do this to them and harness their anger. Guaranteed energy for eternity. Next up, I predicted a change of trend here. Price went up after my entry and almost topped me out after making a higher high, so when I had the opportunity to exit at break even, I took it. Then price went up again, rejected here, and went pretty much right to my target. This is another example of reading the market very well, but walking away with nothing. Then again, it could have definitely reversed after this and taken me out, so I'm not sure that I didn't act correctly as this was against the trend. I planned to buy here and I liked the reaction to this level, so I entered long. I thought price might come up here, but I wanted to gauge the reaction to this level. Once it seemed weak, I exited. Price did reverse 10 points from there, but then it bounced again and I thought about re-entering, but this candle closed too high for me to want too long, so I stayed out. Eventually this would have hit my 20-point target, so I exited too early. Next I got this great signal to short, so I took it. I quickly added another contract and planned to take profits early because I was still stuck on a bullish bias instead of treating this like a range. I took profits way too quickly and walked away with $20 when this trade should have been at least 60, especially with two contracts. When price reached this zone again, I longed, and riding the success of my previous trade, I got too excited and added a second contract. That was a mistake and turned this into a $26 loser. After this big red candle, I waited for a retracement and I hopped in a short. Price looked pretty strong to me, so when I got the chance to exit at break even, I took it. Price did rally a bit and then I said this: if this closes below this, I'm getting short again. I got the close I was looking for and I shorted. When it got near my stop, I gave it more room, which was the correct move, although it wouldn't have stopped me out. I got a rather bearish close and I started decreasing my risk. In fact, it seemed so good to me that I added another contract near my entry. I got a bit emotional and carried away, so I moved my stop too low and got hit at break even. That was really dumb. Quickly realizing how dumb this was, I re-entered, which for me it's usually a bad thing to do because it's based on emotionality. I added another contract and expected a break. I took a $10 profit on my first contract and then price rallied and I added another one, just to get stopped out with a $20 loss. Instead of making around $40 with that beautiful short, I ended up losing $20 because of an emotional management of the re-entry. Very unfortunate. Next I entered short here. It was against the trend and I did enter before the candle closed, so I made sure to de-risk the trade as quickly as possible. That was the correct move here. I quickly moved my stop to break even and added a second contract. It stopped me out for a $4 loss and continued up. I'm quite happy with how I managed this trade. It had potential, but it didn't work out. After price continued up, I got the same setup again, with a bearish close here, so I shorted. Once it went my way, I added another contract, which was a little premature. Price went sideways for quite a while and almost stopped me out multiple times, but eventually it went my way. I exited with one contract a little earlier than my first target and continued waiting. I wanted to take profits quickly because of my negative P&L for the day, which isn't something I should do. Trade the market, not the account. When price went back to my entry, I added another contract again, and that was a great move. But what follows was very disappointing. I got 10 points of profit, which wasn't enough for me. So then price reversed and I lost $14, putting the entire position at a profit of almost $2. Of course, I can always reason what I should have done, like considering the lower than usual volatility and exiting earlier, but that's the hindsight talking, and my management here was actually quite good. It just didn't work out. Had I taken profits early and this continued down, I would have said, well, why not wait for the target? target. There will always be a reason afterwards, but I gotta remind myself of that and be okay with what I did when it was rather reasonable. And that brings us to the last trade of the day, which was a beaut, if I dare say so myself. I recognized this move as being too bullish and I shorted. Once it got close to my stop, I added another contract for low risk. It seemed to not work out for a while, but eventually it broke down. I took my first contract out a bit too early and waited with the second. I trailed it down and finally got out with a nice profit of $43. I stopped the day here down $17, although I traded quite well. The first two takeouts really put a damper in this day, starting me off with minus $48. I did manage to trade quite well after that, so I'm happy about that. But although I was correct in all of these trades, I didn't make much profits. Sometimes I exited too early, sometimes didn't at all. What was good about this trading? I stayed rather rational and unemotional. I managed to trade well after being ticked out twice in a row, which is extremely frustrating. What needs improving? After feeling pain in trades, I exited the first contract way too early. I gotta ignore pain and trade the chart. Let trades ride longer. Had I done this in these three instances, my P&L would have been very different. I traded quite well. I wasn't very emotional and overall managed trades decently. I should let trades run more and accept losses instead of constantly being stopped out break even. I also got really unlucky with the first two trades, so this day was pretty good considering. Thanks for watching and hopefully you learned something. This has been Nimble Trading.